channel. In today's episode of Mental Health Mondays, I'm talking to my good friend Claire about what life is like living with chronic anxiety and emetophobia. In this episode, she's going to dive in deep about what life is really like living with this mental health condition. Grab a cup of tea and please welcome my good friend Claire to the channel. Hello, welcome to the YouTube channel. Please take the time to introduce yourself. This is my lovely friend, so I'll let her do her introduction. Just tell us who you are, what you do, and I'll open the floor to you.
I'm Claire. I'm a cancer, of course. I'm a dog walker. I'm 30 in June, so I feel like this is a pivotal time in my life where I'm like, this is it. And yeah, just I'm really this is like a really important, close to home topic. So as soon as you said about it, I was like 100% wanted to be involved in talking about it.
Yeah, amazing. So just for a bit of background, me and Claire actually met on Bumble, the friend Bumble, not the flirty Bumble. And we instantly connect. And she was very much a light in my dark place when I was living there on my lonesomes, because we're both very like wear our heart on our sleeves, open and honest about who we are, and really grateful for the people around us. So today is a chance for us to talk about your journey with mental health. We'll talk a little about what you kind of are struggling with or have struggled with in the past, where you kind of sit in terms of like diagnosis or self-diagnosis, and just kind of what that's like day to day and living with it. This kind of section of my channel is to help people realize that there are people out there that struggle, but they also live lives day to day. Battling with a mental health condition isn't something that you can switch off or switch on. It's unfortunately a lifelong thing that we just have to learn to live with. So we'll kick straight off with, do you have a condition or conditions that you kind of define yourself or have been diagnosed with? Where do you kind of fall?
How much time you got?
2 minutes.
I mean, yeah, it's I feel like you said, like I've been like in the past I've had things that I wouldn't really consider myself having anymore, but like you just said, like it kind of is always there.
Yeah.
So I think the main ones are definitely depression and anxiety, but I would say like chronic anxiety, like not just like anxious throughout the day, like really debilitating. And then OCD. Growing up, like as a teenager, my OCD was really bad, and emetophobia, fear of being sick, and it's mainly the anxiety and the depression, though, I would say.
So how old was you when you first started to notice that you kind of were struggling with things?
Probably 12, I'd say, like as soon as I went to secondary school. Year 7.
Yeah, it's that age, isn't it, where like there's so much change going on. So many people I speak to, it's such a pivotal age where like your brain sort of unlocks these fears that then become, like you say, chronic symptoms. So what sort of symptoms was you suffering with when you was that sort of age?
I think, well, like for a long time, I didn't really know what was happening. Like I was convinced that it was something to do with my heart, like I was having a heart attack and things like that. And then I think when we went to the doctors and they said she's suffering with panic attacks, it kind of felt like a relief, because it was like, okay, like at least I kind of know what it is now. But it just from there got worse and worse and worse, to be honest. To the point in like year 10 and 11, I was homeschooled. I did all my GCSEs at home in this room. I had to drop a lot of subjects because I missed out on so much. I just wasn't leaving the house. I was just terrified to go out. So I think it started in year 7, but I'd say like year 10, like 15 was when it just got out of control and everything went downhill. And I think that's probably when I started, because like you probably know, they come hand in hand. If you feel depressed, you feel anxious. If you feel anxious, you're naturally going to start feeling depressed. Like it is
like two devils on your shoulder. You know, you're fighting with the anxiety of I should be busy and I should be doing something, and the depression of I physically can't get up and do anything, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the worst thing in the world. And you know,
Mm.
obviously we've shared many times together. So you said kind of 15, 16 was when you was at the point where you couldn't leave the house and you had to really change your life to suit your condition, which obviously is life changing. You know, at that age when I was 15, 16, as much as I was depressed, I was out drinking and, you know, doing God knows what else. And
Yeah, it's kind of like
polar opposite, you know. And it's crazy that I suffer with the same condition, but yet my brain reacts in a completely different way.
yeah.
Go out and ignore it. Yours was, it's not safe to go out, you must stay at home, and you can't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize that. I think people don't realize how many layers these illnesses actually have, and how ingrained they can be in not only your
100.
life but your family's life as well, you know.
Yeah.
So when was you able to kind of come out of that a little bit? Like, did you go to college or did you have to be homeschooled through college?
I tried to go to college twice. I did health and social care and then quit like a few months before the end, because again, it was small little things. Like my classroom was on, I think, like the 7th floor. And for someone who doesn't like being away from an exit, that was like being on like the top floor of the Empire State Building. Like, to me, it felt like it was going to take me like 20 minutes to get to a safe exit. So they again, if you haven't physically got something that people can see, like example, if you're in a wheelchair, I feel like people will accommodate and,
Yeah.
you know, but they used to say to me, "Well, you look all right," because I put a bit of makeup on for the morning, and, "Well, you look fine." And my mum had to fight so hard to try and get even someone to help me kind of get into the classroom, but it was just too much in the end. So I dropped that, and then I tried to do music, which was a lot more chilled.
Yeah.
But again, they did not understand me. I was accused a lot of the time of not faking, but exaggerating things. And I just thought, I don't need to be here.
No.
I don't need to be here. I don't need to prove to anyone
Yeah.
how bad it is. So I left, and then yeah, I mean, ever since, I wouldn't say I've ever really had a proper patterned job.
Yeah.
I've kind of just done my own thing with the animals because that's what made me feel the safest. So I wouldn't say that my life has been like, it's hard. It's been hard watching everyone else go on holiday, get a job, you know, do all these things that I feel like I have never done, and I'm nearly 30. But equally, like you said, I've had really good times where I've looked back and thought, oh my God, did I actually do that? Like, so I know that I can do things and I am capable. I think it's just lows and highs, and it just feels like it's constantly up and down.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a mental health nurse now, and I was saying to her, like, I'm just so envious of people that can have a middle ground. You know, you're either super, super high or so low that it just feels impossible to function.
Yeah.
And she said, like, people, like neurotypical people that don't have mental health conditions do have highs and lows, but they're not to the extremities that
Yeah.
have. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what I want. Like, I just want to feel like happy, not like ecstatic to the point I want to like shoot a movie about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, plan a whole like amazing thing. And I don't want to be so low that I can't get myself to the bathroom to brush my teeth. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's insanity, because there's nothing you can do to shut your own head off. You know, I even said to my mum the other day, I was like, do you reckon I could get a brain transplant?
Oh my God, please. Like,
Like, yeah, but then you'd lose your memories. I was like, not that bothered.
yeah, I was gonna say, not
I'll take a lot
anyway.
of photos.
I'd
Yeah.
like to make some new ones, please.
Yeah. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And the frustrating thing is, like, my mum said to me so many times, if I could take this off of you and have it myself,
yeah,
I would do anything physically possible. But family and friends can be incredible and motivate and support you, but they can't physically. You are the only person who can, like you said, physically get yourself up in the morning and brush your teeth. No one else can do that for you.
no. And the thing is as well, like, I think, I don't know if you get this as well, but there's a lot of pride that comes with it. Like, I find
I think I lost my pride a long time ago, girl.
no, but I mean in terms of like, oh, Luna's just come in.
Hello,
I
Luna
mean in
girl.
terms of like, you know, you say that no one can physically help you do them like mundane tasks, but I would never ask either. Do you know what I mean? If I rang my mum and was like, "Mum, I need you to come and help me get in the shower," she would come and help me get in the shower. Do you know what I mean? Do you know
Yeah,
when you feel
of
dizzy,
course.
you feel like you're going to just fall over, and you just need someone there to watch you, even though you know it. There's nothing. The world isn't actually spinning. Your brain is. But I
Yeah.
would never ask. I would just lay there and suffer in silence.
Yeah, you do, because you don't want anyone to know how bad it is sometimes.
That feeling of not wanting to be a burden.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So in terms of kind of situations that kind of, you know, you suffer with, do you still feel like right now, are there like key things that you still really suffer with? Or what has kind of been times that you've had to really overcome it?
Yeah, it's like, I feel like when it's just one thing, you can be like, okay, like, I can just focus on this. But when it's like three or four things, it just feels like you're like a juggler at the
Yeah.
circus, like trying to juggle all these things at once, and it's just so overwhelming, isn't it? I mean, the biggest thing for me is the sickness phobia.
Yeah.
um it's not something that dips in and out. It literally is on my mind 100 to 200 times a day. Like, if I go to the petrol station to get petrol, well, what if you're sick while you're getting your petrol? Like, it is constant. Meet a friend for lunch, well, what if I'm sick while I'm out having lunch with my friend?
Yeah.
Getting in the bath, well, what if I'm sick? Like, it is exhausting. It is constant. It is a horrible, horrible phobia to have. Any other phobia, I feel like you could, like, if you've got a fear of spiders, you know what I mean? Unless you live in a house with spiders,
Yeah. You
you
can
can.
avoid them. If you're
It's
scared of
not going to
heights,
affect your life,
don't go
but
high.
this is, you can't control when or where you're going to be sick. So you are constantly on high alert, and it is exhausting.
So when you are sick, what
Mm.
what happens?
Do you know what? It ain't even that bad, Eloise.
Really?
That's the mind blowing thing. Like, every time I'm sick, I think, I can't swear. Thank God. Like, do you know what I mean? Thank God. Like, I feel better. That wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
But in my mind, before, it's the out of control part. It's the, if someone said to me, "You're going to be sick in 10 minutes," I'd be like, "Okay, cool. I'll go in my room. I'll get a bowl. I'll get a drink of water. I'll shut the curtains. Done." But
Yeah.
no one can.
You
Do you
can't
know what I mean? Like, no one can tell you that. So, and the horrible thing is, anxiety symptoms, a lot of it is feeling sick. So when you're scared of being sick and you feel a bit anxious over anything, you naturally just think, "Oh, I feel really sick now," and then you think, "Oh, well, I might be sick." You know, do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
constant. It really is constant.
So do you find that that prevents you from, like you said, like your fear, you got that fear if you go out for lunch with someone. Do you find if you're not feeling strong enough, you will just cancel plans and then just
100%. I have been called flaky, unreliable, faker by so many friendships in my life, and I don't blame them. Like, I probably am a really hard person to be friends with, but I like to think that I have other qualities that can outweigh that. But if people don't understand it,
yeah,
that's fine. But I can't force someone to. At the end of the day, if I cancel plans and I can't do it, I'd like to think that someone would say, "No problem, I'll come to you."
yeah.
It's not the end of the world, but like you said, I constantly feel like I'm a burden, I'm a bad friend, I'm a letdown. I think I am getting better in terms of being kinder to myself and not being so hard on myself if I can't do something, or if I do cancel something. It's
Well, just to clarify, I think you're a lovely friend, and I actually don't mind if you cancel, because 90% of the time I'm too scared to leave the house to go anyway. So
exactly, so we can just do Zoom. Like, that's the sad thing though, like everyone you talk to, I'd say a good 80% will straight away be like, oh my god, I get that too. And you think, how are we living in a world where people are so crippled by so many different mental health issues? Like, it's so sad. You kind of feel like a bit like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one. But then you wouldn't wish it on anyone, would you?
no, and I also find, and I don't know if you get this, but if I'm having a good day, like, so I get to the end of the day, I suddenly get this overwhelming feel of guilt that, like, I almost feel like I've taken that good day from someone, that means they're suffering. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I know how many people, it's 1 in 3 now, and I think there's no way that all 3 of my 1 in 3 are having a good day. Like, one of us must be having a shit day. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. And you do feel guilty, yeah.
And yet I've suffered and I've had my bad days. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm entitled to 1 day out of like a
100%.
6 week period feeling normal. Like, but
100%,
I
yeah.
think because you're right, you don't wish it upon anyone, and I think
No.
when you're suffering mentally, all you want is peace in your brain, all you want is quiet and calmness. And when you then get a really good day, you almost feel like, well, I only actually wanted just a medium day, and everyone
Mm,
could have a medium day, and that would be lovely. But that's not how the world works.
no. And you
How
take the good days for granted as well, because
you just live in.
if I have a good day, I think, oh my God, I could do anything right now. But then if you actually said to me, okay, go and jump on a plane, I'd be like, oh no. Do you know what I mean? But in the moment, you're like, oh, I've had a really good day. I could conquer the world.
Yeah,
But then you talk yourself out of it. You're like, oh, could I though?
yeah. So have you
It's
ever been
sad.
on a plane?
Have I what? Sorry?
Ever been on a plane?
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
You have?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
was the
I
last
was
time
I was here, there, and everywhere when I was a little kid. Then
Little
America.
So that must
Yeah,
be really hard though, because they say you can't miss something if you've never had it, but you've had it. So
yeah.
what's that like? Knowing
And
that
I
you've done
loved
it
the
before.
actual. I loved the flying experience. Everyone, because people always say, "Oh, you're scared of flying," and I think, no, not really. I'm not actually scared of being on a plane.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I think it's really like a beautiful experience being up in the clouds. Like,
Mm.
it is literally, it's being to me trapped
Yeah.
on something that I just can't get off of with strangers.
Well, it's a lack of control as well, isn't it?
Yeah, just
If you
stuck
was the
in
pilot,
the
do you
air.
think you'd feel better?
If I was what? Sorry.
If you was the pilot, do you think you'd feel better that you could just be like, "Nah, I'm gonna
I'd
swerve this,
be
go back to
I'd
Heathrow"?
be very scared for people if I was the pilot. But yeah, probably.
Because it's control, isn't it? Like, a lot of
Mm,
our mental health related issues are feeling out of control, and that we don't
yeah,
know what's coming, and that scares us.
100%.
So, what do you find helps you be kind of clear-headed or calm, if you are struggling? What are your kind of tips and tools that you've learned over the years?
Um, there's quite a few, to be honest, but I think when you are having a bad day, you do struggle to kind of remember them. That's why I swear by writing everything down. If people don't do it, journaling is honestly one of the most powerful things you can do. So writing things down, sticking them on your wall so you see them first thing in the morning, affirmations. That's a massive thing for me, is like reminding myself constantly. And I mean, animals, like as soon as I'm around an animal, they're like magic for me. Like, if you put me with a dog, I instantly feel calmer. It's not going to be a miraculous miracle, but they do have a certain amount of magic, I would say. Um, being outside, but like literally like in my garden. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to be able to go too far, but fresh air, meditation, reading, music, like all the simple things that we take for granted, I think.
It's just slowing down, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
slowing down and allowing that wave to just pass, not taking it head on, really. I think I
Yeah.
often ignore and just kind of put things to the back of my mind and just keep going and going and going and going and going. But
Yeah.
you're just adding petrol to the fire, and eventually it's going to blow up. And I know I do that, and that isn't a great
Yeah.
coping mechanism, but that's my default setting. So, you
Yeah.
know,
You're
learning
aware of it.
others is very much, you know, for me, like I'm a big believer of writing things down. I don't journal every night, but when I feel overwhelmed, I do what I call a brain dump, and it's literally just an A4 piece of paper. And
Yeah.
sometimes it will have sentences, sometimes it will have fears, sometimes it will
Yeah.
just have like drawings. Do you know what I mean? Like a sad face, a happy face, like a dollar sign, because
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
whatever it is, just to clear out the dust of my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
So take us back to what a bad day would look like for you. I know it's hard to talk about things like this, so as much as you're comfortable with, but just so we can get an
Mm.
idea of what that looks and feels like.
I mean, the worst days I think I've ever had would have been when I literally did not leave my mum's bedroom, and I'm talking for weeks. Luckily, she had an ensuite. Hello, baby.
Oh, look. Knows this is a
So
hard topic, so she's come to give you that
that's
support.
what I mean. He's like, right, I know mum's struggling right now. Yeah, I I was so convinced. I had this thing like I was scared I was going to ruin things, like if I was sick, so like ruin someone's carpet, ruin my clothes, um ruin someone's car interior. Do you know what I mean? I just have this horrible like, oh, if I'm sick, I'm going to ruin things. So I reached this really horrible stage in my life where I thought, I need to be in my mum's room near the bathroom in case. So a bad day for me was literally, and I couldn't even shower
Yeah.
without having my mum like outside the door, because I was just so crippled with fear that I was going to be sick while I was in the shower.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a bad day would have been staying in one room, not eating because I was scared if I ate I was going to be sick. Um, Not speaking to anyone. Um, Literally, like when I look back, I just think if I can get through that, I can literally get through anything, because they were dark.
Yeah.
And again, being 15, 16, you're watching people go on their first girls' holiday. Like it was just, it used to break my heart. Like I just used to think, is it always going to be like this? But it's not. Like it does get better.
Yeah.
So a bad day, when it's bad, is probably my brother cooking my meals for me because I physically don't have the energy to eat, and he's thinking Claire needs to eat. Again, my mum pretty much babying me because you just can't really function. Not speaking to anyone. A lot of my friends will text me like, Claire, are you okay? And I think they know now that she's having a bad day. Being in darkness, not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to speak to anyone. It's literally feels like someone's kind of just put you in hell for a few days, really.
Yeah, no, I completely relate. I call it the dark cloud because it just feels that everything is dark and you're in that smog. One of the other volunteers that I had, they called it fighting off the bad guys. So do you have a pet name for your head when it goes?
Mate, this rabbit wants to be fucking centre of. I've put her on the floor and she jumped back up. Yeah, probably just like bad days, I guess.
Yeah, you just
Because
say
I
it.
know that's all they are, like,
Yeah.
and I know they do sometimes last a little while. But I just try and tell myself now, at least, I think the good days outweigh the bad, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I know they're not going to last forever. So it's kind of like you said, whatever I've got to do to get through this, if that is just staying in bed and watching Friends on repeat and turning my phone on D&D and journaling and eating crap, then I'm going to do that, because I know in a few days I'll feel better.
Yeah. So do you, obviously this is more of a in the moment question, do you find that you have kind of triggers that you then know it's almost like a time bomb, like certain situations, you know, if you have too many of them, that you're going to end up in that space? Are you quite aware of like the domino effect happening, or does it still kind of strike you by complete surprise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an anxious person in general. It can be like absolutely anything can set me off. So it can be like really small things, and I'll think food is a huge one. I don't consider myself to have any sort of eating disorder, but if I don't have an appetite, I have a really, really awful relationship with food. It's like I want to eat so badly, but everything just tastes like clay, like to get down your throat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know I need to eat to feel better. So that's a big one for me. If I don't eat, I can't do anything, because you've got no fuel, you've got no energy, you feel like you're going to faint. Yeah, so then you think, okay, well, I can't really do anything, so I'm just going to sit here. It's such a cycle. So food is a massive trigger for me. Like if I haven't eaten well, I can tell it's going to be a shitty few days. People talking about feeling ill or being sick, like if someone says I've got a bug, I'll immediately be like, oh, like I'll stay away from them for a few days then, and then I think, could I catch something in the air? Yeah, just anything that kind of triggers my anxiety off, really.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got final two questions, and these are provoking questions. Quite sad, the first one. So what do you wish you could tell your younger self?
So much. Literally, like it will, so cliche, but it will be okay. Like it will be all right. I can remember sitting there in my room several times, maybe like 7 panic attacks deep, like into the day, thinking I physically have nothing left to give. Like, and again, it's a big trigger conversation, the suicide conversation. I never ever felt like I want to take my own life, but there were so many points when I was so tired, I just thought, I don't want to live anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
So I would just say to myself, well, I did hold on, but I would just say, just hold on, because, and I think finding like my spiritual side just saved me, because it's just like, I just used to always see the worst in life, but now it's like life is so beautiful, it's so precious. And, you know, even suffering with mental health, you've still got so much to live for and so many things to achieve and that you can do. And there's so many things I'd tell my younger self, like, don't be so horrible to yourself all the time. And yeah, the list is endless. But the main one is it will all be okay, and you're going to be fine.
So on the flip side of that, what would you like to tell your older self?
Like in the future? Oh. The same kind of thing, but just, I think I don't want to get to like 40, 50 and look back and think, oh, you wasted a lot of time, girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wasted a lot of time being scared that you didn't do half the things you dreamed of. So just the same kind of thing, like it's going to be okay, but I would also tell myself, just push yourself harder than you've ever pushed yourself before, because, you know what I mean, you're 30 and life is, you're still young and there's still so much that you can achieve and do. And I think the beauty of all of this is that we have the power to help a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And I think if I could, the thought of like a 15, 16-year-old girl going through what we've gone through is one of the saddest things I could think of, like, because a lot of people don't see an end to it and don't keep pushing. So I would love to do some charity work, some voluntary work. Me and my friend were talking about this yesterday, actually, with mental health charities, and just kind of flip it. Like, yeah, it's been a lot having to deal with this through life, but the beauty of it is we can help so many people.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. You've been really, really honest and vulnerable, and I really appreciate it. I think it's lovely to talking about these subjects, because they're such similar illnesses. Well, when you look at a diagnosis, they're the same.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got depression, you've got depression, I've got anxiety,
Mm,
you've got anxiety. But the way that it manifests and progresses in
yeah,
each individual is so complex and
yeah, yeah, 100%.
scary.
Yeah,
I mean, when you first told me about what you went through, I was literally like, wow, I had it easy, and it, it wasn't easy because I was 15 and struggling. But
absolutely.
when you look at other people's stories, you almost feel thankful about the version of struggle you got, which, like you say, we're living in a world, people are happy to have different levels of struggle.
Yeah,
There shouldn't be struggle,
I know, I
Um,
know. It is quite nice in that sense, though, because it's like, sometimes I think, yeah, like, you have had it rough compared to a lot of people, but then I think people ain't had my mum, people ain't had my brothers, people ain't
yeah,
had my nan and granddad.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So people have had to do this on their own.
yeah, yeah,
So there is that part of it, but then there's like, and like you with your mum, like, your mum's incredible. Like, you just think we're so lucky to have
yeah,
such amazing supportive family members.
for sure, for sure.
Mm.
Well, again, thank you so, so much.
Thanks for having me,
I
Beb.
really appreciate you being so honest, and I'm really excited for this to go live. So yeah, hopefully I can come down in my little tutu and see you soon when I go.
Yes, definitely. Well, hopefully I can try and get to you. I mean,
Yeah,
it will happen. It's just a
happen.
case of when.
Yeah, it will
On a
happen.
good day.
Yeah, but no, I will definitely, we'll arrange something once I've
Yeah.
have a form of income again.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Beb. And like you said, I feel like I've talked a lot about me, but you're
Which is what
doing
I wanted. Yeah,
amazing, and I think what you're doing, raising the awareness, is amazing. And I think you've got it. I think you've just got to believe that you've got it.
thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining us this episode. I really hope that it helped you if you suffer with either of these conditions, or if you know a loved one that does. Hopefully this will give you an insight of what life is really like living with a mental health condition. As always, my DMs are always open, and please feel free to drop in the comments below if there's any condition you'd like us to talk about on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for another Mental Health Monday.